Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in the Omni-Channel oven today.
Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live, part 2 of 4.
You asked the questions about big data, customer experience, customer support, privacy, CRM, lead generation, and I'll answer your questions here today in the Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Welcome back to the second episode of Marketing Q&A Live, where I will be taking questions in real time and answering as many as I can. When it gets to be too much, we'll cut it off, and then I'll just pick up where we left off. As a reminder, please make sure to ask your questions at the @MarketingKitchenTV Twitter feed with the hashtag Q&A, and I'll answer your questions here. All right, let's take a look at the first question we have. With your past experience in consulting major businesses, would you say companies today are more focused on improving SEO, search engine optimization, and pay-per-click, PPC techniques, compared to the past? I would say that companies are, all right, let's break this down in two ways right here, because you say with your past experience in consulting major businesses. I've consulted multinational corporations and I've consulted small businesses. I've consulted local elected officials running for office. I've consulted people running for the White House and everything in between, right? So from Main Street to Wall Street, okay? From Singapore to Seattle, from my hometown of Medford to Manhattan to Mumbai, right? So from my hometown of Medford to Manhattan to Mumbai to, I don't know, I can't think of any more names off the top of my head at the moment. All right, anyhow. So it doesn't matter, okay? If you've got the money, you do both. I would say that SEO is less expensive than pay-per-click because, if all things are the same, then you would do both. So if you've got money to burn, you've got money to spend, you will do SEO and you'll do PPC. If you don't have as much resources in terms of money, then I would say that the AdWord bidding process is getting a bit too cost prohibitive, especially if you're bidding on popular search words. And so to answer your question, I would say more companies are focused on SEO. As a marketer, I would focus more on SEM. I would focus on creating value-added content, and I would then seed that content across the web, and I would have my customers organically find that content. I would, rather than invest in PPC, I personally would invest in advertising so that I am expanding the reach of my customers. Now, this always goes back to, it's a great question, Jack. This goes back to the push versus pull media, right? So that the whole argument of today, the customer finds you and you just put the content online for your customer to be able to find it when he or she is ready. Well, yeah, that's one argument. The other argument as well, too, is that your customer is searching for a heck of a lot of different things, and your customer is quite distracted. So you today you need to do the SEO and you need to do the PPC, but you also need to do the SEM, which is search engine marketing. You need to create value-added content. You need to do an analysis of who your customer is, and you need to be on the channel that your customer is on, with the message that your customer is most interested in reading, or the types of messages, whether that be photo content, whether that be blog pieces, whether that be reviews, you name whatever the content is. Anyway, whatever is deemed as value-added content for your particular industry, your customer, the product or service that you're selling, so that when your customer searches online, they find that. The reason why I say to advertise is because organic search today, and PPC is not organic search, right? That's manipulated aspect of search. So organic search really doesn't, or even organic content really doesn't work today because the networks limit who sees your content, so which percentage of your audience sees it, when they'll see it, if they'll even see it. So you need to pay to play on the platform. So I would, great question, Jack. I'm not saying anything bad about SEO or PPC. I myself would create value-added content. I would find out who my customer is, what channel my customer is on, what content engages or attracts, engages, and converts my customer, and then I would pay to promote that content on that channel so that I will reach that customer. You want to be reaching new customers. You want to be reaching, excuse me. You want to be continually reaching a new audience to find new customers. If your content is on the same platform, if your content is being read by the same customer all the time, that's not doing you any good. So you need to find new markets, new audiences to see your content, to expand your reach, to expand your growth. That would be my approach. The second part of your question, if so, what is one major unique advice you would give them to improve their SEO PPC? I think I nailed that one already. In particular with SEO or PPC, SEO, make sure you find somebody who knows search engine optimization. So the person who knows how to tag your site properly. If it comes to PPC, somebody who's quite knowledgeable about Google AdWords and how the whole system operates. And remember too, you just don't have to focus on Google. There are people that actually use Yahoo and use Bing, so you don't need to be held 100% hostage by Google. But there's also too, by the way, app search optimization as well. So if your product or service is app driven, then you would want to utilize similar tactics on the app stores, whether they be Android or whether they be Apple Store and the Apple App Store, so that your app is being seen and found. There's just so many different avenues and strategies, like they're endless, and it's about finding the right partner who is willing to work with you and to explore the different avenues that they may be. Well, that was a great question, Jack. And anyway, I hope that I answered your question there. But thank you. That was a good one. Appreciate it. Makes it a lot easier to answer a robust question. All right, the next one here. All right, Pablo asks, AI is a major game changer in the areas of marketing and customer success. From suggesting which hashtags to use in a post to using chatbots in e-commerce, what tactics should marketing managers use to introduce new techniques into their marketing plan? That is a great question. It's quite open-ended, so let me try to quickly address some of the things. AI is certainly a game changer. AI is in existence today. It is being utilized, but it's not being utilized to the scope that we think that it is. most of the things that we consider to be AI are what we would call automation. So when we talk about a chatbot, is the chatbot really utilizing AI, or is it just utilizing data? So remember, going back to anybody who's ever done any coding, so you've got a 0 or you got a 1. 0 takes you one direction, 1 takes you another direction. When you reach 1, then you got another choice of 0 or 1. Do you take 0 or do you take 1? Okay, so machine learning, or what we're calling AI, is the chatbot's ability to, when you type in your keyword, it is making the determination of 0 or 1, or let's say door A or door B, and making the recommendation to you to choose. If the customer continually chooses option B, then the next time the chatbot is given the same question, they're going to offer B. All right, so anyway, is that artificial intelligence? Okay, that's debatable, all right? Anyway, that's my opinion. So yes, quantum computing, Google has just cracked, don't ever have peanut butter before you're about to record or speak. Why? Because it gets stuck in your throat. Anyway, love chocolate, love peanut butter, right? Whenever, I don't know who ever invented or came up with the idea of mixing the two of them together. Maybe you've seen the old TV commercials, or I haven't seen a modern version of it, where one person has peanut butter, another person has chocolate, and he or she trips and their peanut butter, actually the commercial went something like this: your peanut butter went in my chocolate. No, your chocolate went in my peanut butter. And then they eat it, and then, wow, two great tastes, whatever it was. Anyway, love peanut butter, love chocolate. Okay, sorry. All right, AI is a major game changer in the areas of marketing and customer success. Perhaps you meant customer service, leading towards customer success, Pablo. But anyway, so yeah, certainly Google, for example, or even Twitter, or whatever the platform is, offering or making suggestions about what the next word would be, what the trending topics are, etc. Yeah, it's fantastic. They make lots of great recommendations. Amazon, for example, really makes use of recommendations based upon past behavior or people similar to you. And again, this is going back to, as I mentioned, the 0 or the 1, or door A or door B. They're constantly testing and refining so that they're making recommendations based on past behavior that are most applicable. And because the better the recommendation is the first time around, the more successful it will be the next time around. Well, with the next customer, right? Or the next time you perhaps log in. All right. What tactics should marketing managers use to introduce new techniques into their marketing plan? Well, that really, again, that's really open-ended. That really depends upon your company, your product, your service, and your market, what platform you're selling your products or services on, and of course, who your customer is and what the spend is, what technology they're utilizing to access that you're there. All right, so let's say you have a marketing plan and you want to introduce technology into it. Well, one of the first things you probably want to do is start with a simple scheduler. So let's say that you're posting content online. You could do that manually, or you could utilize a company that offers an automated scheduling tool. Some of these scheduling tools actually are content curators. They will recommend content, and you can set the parameters that are there. So it could be content similar to that you've posted already. It could be trending content. You could add keywords, and then it would give you content related to that. And they could automate. Not only could they schedule the post that you've created, they could then automate. They could curate and automatically send out content on your behalf. So I'd start with a scheduling tool, test that out. Start with a curation tool. Start with some automation for sending, for curating, sending, packaging. putting that material out. That would be one piece. There are different lead generators that can be utilized as well too. So let's say that you did a manual search for a specific type of customer segment and that was successful. You logged those keystrokes that are there. Well, machine learning or automation can search for a similar customer for you. I was with a firm where we developed an automation tool that helped salespeople reach like consumers. So in other words, if criteria, let's say that you selected criteria 1 through 5, and by doing so, you picked up a customer that had 4 of the 5, and it was successful close. Well, the tool would then recommend another customer that hit the 4 out of the 5 in that same particular area. Or let's say that there were pitches, A through D, and you sent them out, and consistently pitch C and D were successful. Well, the tool would pick up on that and then recommend those pitches for you to use. So you could certainly do that in that area. So there's many different pieces that you could add to that. To your marketing plan, to generic, right? To your plan itself. You mentioned right here chatbots. And if you have a website, I'd highly recommend utilizing a chatbot so that you are offering 24/7, 365 customer service to a certain extent. You should always have, again, it's based on your company and your resources, you should always have some type of a system where a customer can actually reach a live person. But if they can't, because you don't have the resources for that, then the chatbot can help them navigate through your site. But what would happen then is that, let's say all operators are not available until the next morning, then the customer could then, if they're not finding the information through the chatbot, you could set up where they would a call could be scheduled, a callback could be scheduled, or you could provide them with the information for them to call at a specific time. In other words, but I'd certainly implement something of that nature. All right, without knowing exactly the specific that you're asking for, this is the best that I can do, but hit me up with a follow-up question and I would be happy to answer that one for you. All right, let's take a look at the next question. All right, Mary asks here, with ad controls and less television time, companies need to go. Please make sure you guys proof your questions, right? With ad controls and less television time, companies need to go a step further, past commercials, social media, email, etc. for content marketing. What have you seen that shows this evolution that has surprised you or is new and creative? And when it comes to Twitter, one of the things that's most annoying to me is that you can't modify your tweet once you put it out. So you know what I usually do? If I posted, and what's funny is, before I answer your question, just because I had mentioned that a preposition was missing, but sometimes that can change a question, right? One of the things that I notice that I do is that when I send out a tweet, I do proof it before I hit tweet or retweet, whatever it might be, but I don't realize my mistake until it's been tweeted. So what you want to do, here's my tip anyway. So I will write the tweet, I'll proof it, I'll send it, there will be an error in it. I'll see the error, I'll immediately, click on my tweet, I'll copy the text, I'll immediately delete that tweet, and then I'll retweet with the correction that's there. So just a tip, something, I make mistakes on Twitter all the time. So anyway, I'm not calling you out, Mary, I'm just offering a tip to everybody about how to deal with typos in Twitter, because anyway, I do them quite a bit. So I'm constantly copying it, deleting it, and then resubmitting it again. I wish Twitter would. I don't know why they don't give you the ability to edit the tweet. I mean, Instagram does, and And I liken Twitter and Instagram to similar platform and in that particular sense anyway. All right, sorry, back to your question. With ad controls and less television time, companies need to go a step further past commercials, social media, email, etc. for content marketing. What have you seen that shows this evolution that has surprised you or is new and creative? Well, that's a good one. I'm responding to these questions at 1 a.m. my time. All right, that's a fantastic question, Mary. And for me, here's what I always do. I put myself in my customer's shoes and I ask myself what would most engage me. And it's about understanding who your customer is, what messages appeal to them, what channel are they on. So you want to craft a message that best represents or addresses or attracts or engages, fulfills, meets, challenges, questions, inspires their particular need. Really, it's almost a psychological play in many ways about really understanding who they are, what turns them on, what appeals to them, and where and at what time, and putting that on. So a lot of the questions coming before yours were about AI or about automation. And that's where those tools can come into play to really help you to identify that specific piece. So I would say that when you ask me with this evolution, what has surprised me or what is new and what's creative, I would certainly say that utilizing AI, machine learning, and automation to define who the customer is would be sort of step one. Step two is you really need to have somebody who's creative working for you doing the marketing. Somebody who's like always coming up with new content, new ideas, who really understands the customer. And one of the things as well too is data is fantastic, right? So when I'm talking about utilizing an automation tool or AI or machine learning, that's about understanding your data. So obviously you need to be collecting some form of data about your customer to be able to crunch those numbers to find out who that customer is, right? What makes them tick, what their values, etc. But beyond that, you need to also have some real-time information. So I usually deal with who's in the front line of my company. Who are my salespeople? Who are my customer service? Who's my front line working in a store? What really annoys me when I go into a retail shop, and I mean, I almost expect this today, right? But when you go into a shop and you offer feedback to the person, the store, the clerk, the associate, whatever, and they just kind of give you this blank look like, okay, well, no. That individual should actually be taking that information and taking it to their manager, and their manager should be taking it up the food chain, or the company should have a mechanism that employee can directly shoot that message up so that the company can understand what the objections are of the customer to help mitigate those particular objections, if you will. So anyway, what am I saying that's new and or creative? Ads that engage, things that inspire. So I talk all the time about transforming your media from boring to blockbuster. And I talk about taking a Hollywood approach to your marketing or to your content. And so when I work with my customers, I pretend like I'm J.J. Abrams creating the reboot of Star Trek, where I'm adding in the lens flares, right? I don't know if you saw Star Trek 2009, but one of the things people most talk about is on the Enterprise. And so anyway, here, for example, here we've got on my stove, right? We've got the light reflecting here. Well, if this were the Enterprise, there would be a lens flare, a glow that would there. They would catch your attention. Each time the ship moved, there would be a... Anyway, what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, so transforming marketing or branding from being boring, or your messaging or your advertising from being boring to Blockbuster. It's about adding a production quality to it. So rather than utilizing drawing stick figures, not that you would be reaching out to Industrial Light and Magic to do your special effects in your ad. So rather than doing something, basic chart that's in black and white, you would either go into Photoshop or you would go into PowerPoint. You'd utilize an infographic template, and you would put your message or information into that. Rather than utilizing static text in blog posts, you would be creating videos. One of the reasons why I'm here on the Marketing Kitchen is to get more comfortable myself in video medium, understanding, of course, that when we talk about social media and we talk about content marketing, there's so many different types of pieces of content, and obviously you want your content to inspire, to have value, to be useful, so that it attracts, engages, and converts your customer. And obviously the meme was one of the things that does that. I'm saying obviously a lot for some reason, because I don't know, maybe it's not so obvious. So memes caught attention more so a picture, an image, they say that a picture says 1,000 words, so that's why memes are so powerful. Video takes that to the next level as well too, because now it's a sensory. It's not just the image, but it's also the motion and it's the sound. You can then take that to the next sensory dimension by adding in special effects. So the J.J. Abrams lens flare. All right. So off the top of my head, I don't have an example for you of that. I think a specific one anyway. But I think about YouTube advertising. Nobody likes ads on YouTube, especially. I don't know about you, but I'm here in Singapore, so I don't know why YouTube never reached out to me to advertise. I'd love to advertise on YouTube. I'm considering doing it, but YouTube has never approached me. They've never offered me some package, but they've clearly offered a number of Singaporean businesses packages, because I have seen some of the worst ads I've ever seen in history. They look like community access TV ads, right? If you all remember, any of you back in the US, or even just think about if you watch Spider-Man Far From Home and the high school news show, right, where they had the two commentators who came on, the two students, how cheesy the graphics were, how bad the delivery was, obviously intentionally. That's what the ads are like that are on YouTube. So not only do I not want to see the ads, but they're so bad I can't reach for my remote because I'm usually watching YouTube on my TV, by the way. So I got to run from my remote control and quickly turn those ads off because they're so bad. If I'm on a tablet or if I'm on my phone, it's much easier to do, but I want to run from them. So to me, so you're asking me what's new or creative? Ads that are story driven, ads that are inspiring, ads that I'm caught up in them because they're better than the content that I had clicked on that I wanted to watch. In fact, actually, Mary, I do. See, I talked long enough that I do have a good example for you, hopefully anyway. Universal Studios. They just did an 8-minute short around Jurassic World. I forgot the name of it now. If I remember, and I will, because as I'm talking now, I'll put the link in the description right here. You should check this out on YouTube. This is just 8 minutes of content about Jurassic World. And it's not about the first movie. It's not about the second movie. But the third movie is coming out. And this gets people talking about Jurassic World again. In fact, this 8-minute short, if they would call this, they're not making any direct money off of it, but indirectly, I guarantee you people are downloading Jurassic World 1 and Jurassic World 2. Maybe they're even going back and watching the Jurassic Park series, all because of watching this 8-minute short. And it's creating buzz for the Universal theme parks, Universal Jurassic World merchandise, as well as for Jurassic World 3. So that is a new and creative way that Hollywood is doing to drive engagement by on YouTube, where it's typically user-generated content, the brand offering a highly slick, Blockbuster-styled piece of content to drive traffic or engagement. So anyway, if I talk long enough, I'll think of a good answer. So hopefully that answers your question, Mary. If not, hit me up with a follow-up question, and I'll try to answer it in the next time I record a video. All right, let's get to the next question. All right, just have to scroll up here. All right, Frank asks, blockchain continues to transform the supply chain. They continue to monitor trends to get a good start on the market. They have turned away from EDI too. Why do so many companies rely on electronic data interchange? That's a good question, and I couldn't answer that for you, because that's not my space. So I'll be honest with you, my space is not in encryption. My space is not in ensuring that a network is secure. All right, so that's not where I deal. I would say though that EDI is an industry standard, and anytime you've got an industry standard, what happens? That's what everybody gravitates to until there's adoption on a new platform or a new standard. Because you got to remember, with technology, you've got legacy architecture. You've got an entire infrastructure within that architecture that it's difficult to migrate to the next thing. In many respects, I see blockchain as good branding. The blockchain, all right, I'm thinking how best to describe it in layman's terms. I strongly suggest, if you don't know what blockchain is, and I'm not saying you, Frank, I'm saying anybody else listening, to Google what is blockchain. But blockchain is where the data is stored at many different locations. It's called ledgering is the term that is usually utilized. And it would be that if system A or ledger A is compromised, then you will be locked out of ledger B, so that the break-in is isolated to the first point of entry. Whereas in a EDI situation, it would be potential that if there's a break-in, then so once you've gotten past that firewall, you are then able to access all of the data that is there. If the data has been ledgered and is sitting in all different places, then it can only be taken from ledger A, cannot be taken from ledger B or ledger C or ledger D, right? So a whole new hack would have to happen in those other places. And if it did, then the data from A to C over here, or actually C was over here, would not be it would not be synchronous. So the chain would have been broken so that you couldn't seam those two together. Does that make any sense? I hope I explained that. Okay. All right, so blockchain, in terms of blockchain in the supply chain, and actually I did read your post on that, and the article was quite interesting. I can see where it would stop an entry before the entire system could be corrupted. And I think it's a revolutionary new phenomenon. I wouldn't say that it's the end-all be-all, but it is a good way to roll out the branding for a new type of security measure that is available to firms once they are ready to migrate their existing systems off of, say, EDI to the blockchain. And of course, one needs to then set that whole new infrastructure up, or go with a provider that can set that for them. I don't know. I hope that covered your question, Frank. Thank you very much for that question. All right, I believe that we've covered a lot of ground here in this Marketing Kitchen TV Live. That'll do it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll pick up where we left off. I hope you found my answers useful. I hope that we can have some engagement on this channel by you offering some comments in the section below. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please like it, and please share with your friends. It will really help the channel to grow, which in turn will help me and make this a better resource for us all. Thank you for your question. If you'd like me to answer a question here on Marketing Kitchen TV, all you need to do is go to the @MarketingKitchenTV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop. So whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this marketing kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.